Stick around for those.
All right. Well, it is a little after 11 o'clock, so we want to kick off this rally, this Hunger Free Kentucky Day, rally against hunger, a rally to solve hunger. My name is Kurt Reiber. I'm the president and CEO of the Freestar Food Bank, and I'm honored to represent Feeding Kentucky as its chair of the board. But we are one of 7 member food banks that are making up Feeding Kentucky. They are God's Pantry Food Bank, Facing Hunger Food Bank, Feeding America Kentucky Heartland, Tri-State Food Bank, Dare to Care Food Bank, and the Paducah Area Development District Food Bank. We're thrilled to have you joining us today. We're thrilled that so many of our elected officials are joining us today as well, because they have truly been the champions of this fight that we were trying to make to end hunger in our Commonwealth. When you think about it, 1 in 7 of our neighbors are dealing with food insecurity. 1 in 5 of those are children. And the 7 food banks that make up Feeding Kentucky are, there on the front line of hunger each and every day, making a difference for the families that we're serving, but also making the difference for our Kentucky farmers as well. I'd like to introduce and turn it over to Katrina Thompson, our Executive Director for Feeding Kentucky, to go through our agenda and talk about what the rally holds for us today. Katrina, take it away.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us and for sharing in this wonderful day. I'd just like to encourage you to, tell all your colleagues, your friends, your family that today is Hunger Free Day. And let's do everything we can to promote that in the state today. We have a wonderful agenda lined up. First, we'll have remarks from our esteemed Governor Andy Beshear, who cannot be with us today, but has a recorded message for us. We also have our Commissioner of Agriculture, Honorable Ryan Quarles, with us, as well as Attorney General Daniel Cameron. House Speaker David Osborne will speak to us through a recording. We also have House Agriculture Chairman Richard Heath, who's going to give us a recorded message, but will be on with us as well. And we will also have a personal testimony from Kevin Cornett. And then I'll just come back briefly to wrap up the day. So enjoy. Kurt, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Katrina, and thanks again to everybody for joining us today. As you said, this is our day to rally to solve hunger in our Commonwealth. And a champion that has really been with us each and every day from the very start of this challenging problem has been Governor Beshear, who is the 63rd governor of Kentucky. And he comes to us with some recorded messages about our day today. Attorney General, or Governor Beshear. Sarah, can you unmute that and start the governor's?
Sorry about that, everybody.
A little bit of technical difficulty.
To be here today.
Can you hear it now?
Advocates and organizations who are working to end hunger in the Commonwealth. And we have so much work to do. It's hard to read the statistics year after year because they aren't just numbers. These are people. These are our people. 1 in 6 Kentucky households with children deal with hunger daily, while more than 600,000 rely on food provided through organizations like Feeding Kentucky. And sadly, Kentucky has the highest rate in the nation of food insecurity among older adults at more than 17%, well above the national average, something we became even more aware of at the start of the pandemic. My administration is committed to fighting hunger, and we're committed to supporting you. In the best of times, your work is daunting. During this pandemic and in the aftermath of historically deadly tornadoes, your work is nothing short of heroic. That is why during my budget address, I proposed to helping our most vulnerable. One of those priorities was addressing hunger and maybe even coming close to ending hunger in our older population. Federal pandemic funds eliminated what was a true shame. Before the pandemic, we had a waiting list. Seniors we knew went hungry on a daily basis, but we hadn't budgeted enough dollars in any of the years to take care of all of them. We were able, through those federal pandemic funds, to provide an additional 7,000 meals, which ended the waiting list for seniors. In other words, every hungry older adult got what they need. That is not just doing an important thing, it is doing the right thing. And moving forward, we have a budget outlook where we should never allow there to be a waiting list for our seniors that are going hungry ever again. So I proposed $36.2 million over the next 2.5 years to provide 49,000 additional meals per week, which would meet the needs of every Kentucky senior. During the pandemic, we've also stepped up in other ways. We provided PEBT benefits to over 640,000 students. That totals to more than $180 million to provide meals to our Kentucky children who depended on school meals for their nutrition. At the same time, we administered SNAP benefits to an average of 100,000 more individuals each month than compared to the pre-pandemic year. And we made sure our Western Kentucky families impacted by deadly and devastating tornadoes had access as well. We received approval for disaster SNAP benefits for impacted communities to help those affected. We also secured a federal waiver to allow hot food to be ordered through those programs and the regular SNAP EBT program. Regardless of the challenge, I know you're there for our people. And I want you to know that I continue to stand with you, having been here every year as Attorney General, and I'll be here every year as Governor, because we have a duty to end hunger in this state and across this country. Now, I believe that this is not just a requirement for us as people. It doesn't just conform with our values, but it is necessitated by our faith. In the Beatitudes, we're told that those who are hungry are blessed and shall be full. In the book of Matthew, it is first among the mercies enumerated by Jesus when he says, "For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in." And Christ's feeding of the multitudes with just 7 loaves and fishes is a miracle so central to the teachings of my faith, it is recounted in all of the Gospels. This is something we are called on to do, and it's something we should be able to do. Our country produces enough food to feed everybody in it and so many more across the globe. Surely, in the year 2022, we can make great strides to ending hunger for so many, and I'm going to continue to be there to do it. Whether it's the National Guard that have been helping out at so many of our food pantries and food banks during this pandemic, if the $36+ million more we want to provide to make sure no senior goes hungry, or other programs that we can work with you on, we are absolutely here to do it. This is our Commonwealth. These are our people, and let's commit to none of them going hungry ever again. Thanks.
Thank you, Governor Beshear. And obviously, those are wonderful opportunities for the entire Commonwealth to rally behind this rally to end hunger and the work that's being done by our 7 food banks and our Feeding Kentucky State Association. Now we have a person who really needs no introduction, but I'll introduce him nonetheless because he has been a champion of this fight against hunger from the very inception. Ryan Quarles was elected Kentucky's Commissioner of Agriculture in 2015. And under his leadership, the Kentucky Department of Agriculture has started several new programs, including initiatives to combat hunger and connect Kentucky farmers to new markets. Our Farm to Food Bank program owes a good debt of gratitude to Commissioner Quarles, and we're thrilled to have him here with us today. Thank you, Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you, Kirk, and good morning virtually for our hunger rally. I look forward to this event every single year because it accomplishes a few things. Number one, it raises awareness about an important issue that exists in every city, county, and community in Kentucky, and that is hunger, which does exist. And we knew that this was a problem well before the pandemic started. And I'm really proud of the strides that we have made working with Feeding Kentucky, working with our collaborators like Glean Kentucky and Hunters for the Hungry, as well as our staff at the Kentucky Department of Agriculture to make a dent into hunger. And I made sure to wear my orange tie today for two reasons. Number one, to raise awareness for hunger, but also for our Cincinnati Bengals, so Who Day. So thank you, Kurt, for reminding us about that. As you heard previously, hunger has affected Kentucky worse than other states. And 1 in 7 adult Kentuckians face food insecurity. 1 in 5 and sometimes 1 in 4 Kentucky school children do not know where their next meal is coming from. So we know that the need is great. And when COVID-19 affected all of us, we raced to make sure that we had the resources at our food banks. And I'm so appreciative of Feeding Kentucky and their network across our state, because we made sure that despite a global pandemic, that we had resources and fresh Kentucky Proud food for those in need. I also want to say a special thanks to our donor community, including Kentucky Farm Bureau, Farm Credit of Mid-America, Walmart, Kroger, and the list goes on and on and on, including our Cattlemen's Association, the Kentucky Poultry Association, for providing or donating Kentucky Proud fresh produce during this pandemic, which continues today. But that doesn't mean the job is over. I want to say a special thanks to our Kentucky Department of Agriculture staff, which facilitated millions of increased dollars through DOD, through CARES Act, et cetera. I know that they're joining us on the call today, so special thanks to them as well. There are 4 specific asks that we're going to be working with our General Assembly with this year. Number 1 is the funding of our successful and popular Farms to Food Banks Trust Fund. And this money is used to buy up produce from Kentucky farmers that would otherwise not be harvested, that otherwise would rot in the field, and get it into the hands of our food banks. And that helps do a couple things. Number 1, it helps our local farmers out, but it also provides locally produced food. And who knows, you might create a consumer out of this in the long term. Another ask is ARPA related. We know that our food pantries are not created equally across our state. There's at least 1,000 of them. And so we want to create a mini grant program with a one-time $1 million ask so each food pantry can buy a refrigerator, upgrade shelving, etc. We also like to ask a one-time ARPA request to expand the food banks program so we can buy up more Kentucky Proud protein, such as chicken and beef, etc. We know that our clients at the food banks really do consider it a treat when you have something that was locally produced in Kentucky Proud that supports our farmers as well. And then lastly, for our food banks, we're asking for $1 million for infrastructure upgrades at our food banks across Kentucky. And think about large scale refrigeration, things that we know that are creating bottlenecks with the donor community. So these are the 4 things that we're going to be asking for this General Assembly. And we hope that you can join us with those requests as well. And this is on top of making sure that we have a robust summer feeding program, that we help support breakfasts in school as well. And we're lobbying Congress right now to get rid of confusing and contradictory regulations that once were waivers during COVID, but now need to become permanent policy as well. So in conclusion, I want to say how proud I am of everybody in the anti-hunger community. We've done very well, but we know that the need is great, and that when COVID hit, we saw a 30% increase in the number of Kentuckians going to food banks, many of whom for the first time in their lives. We need to make sure that not just our children and the elderly, but all Kentuckians have access to food. The resources are there. And as the Kentucky Commissioner of Agriculture, if we're going to provide food to fellow Kentuckians, why not make it Kentucky proud? Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Quarles, and thank you for being a champion of this fight to end hunger in the Commonwealth. As you said, you were there at the very start when we initiated the Farm to Food Bank program and really created a win-win situation, not only for our hungry neighbors throughout the Commonwealth, but also for our Kentucky farmers. And being able to provide that Kentucky Proud produce has been essential to having families eat healthier. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now we're pleased to welcome Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Daniel Cameron is the 51st Attorney General for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. He's the first African-American independently elected to statewide office in Kentucky history, but also he was there to continue on the legal food frenzy effort that has brought all of our law firms throughout the Commonwealth to really engage in our fight against hunger and really make a difference and really raising awareness. So Attorney General Cameron, we're thrilled to have you with us today, and thank you for being here.
Well, good morning, guys, and thank you, Kurt, for your work and just the way you lead in trying to just confront hunger in this country and in the Commonwealth. And Katrina, thank you for helping organize this rally. I know whether it's in person or virtual, these are a big deal and important to make sure that folks continue to be aware of the challenges related to hunger in our communities and across the Commonwealth. And thank you to all the advocates and elected officials who have joined us virtually today. As you know, food insecurity continues to be a critical issue in the Commonwealth. It erodes the health of adults and stunts the physical, mental, and emotional development of children. And food insecurity can take many forms. It can look like a child not knowing where his next meal will come from. It can look like parents not knowing how they're going to feed their children this week, or it's a grandparent lacking the nutrition necessary to maintain a healthy grandchild. Now, Mackenzie and I have recently become parents just a few weeks ago. And the notion that our son, Theodore, would need food and that Mackenzie and I would not be able to provide it is too frightening to consider. Yet that's the reality for many in Kentucky. Today, 1 in 7 Kentucky adults and 1 in 6 Kentucky children struggle with food insecurity. The last 2 years have not helped these statistics. In 2020, the pandemic increased a variety of factors that contributed to food insecurity, such as a shortage of food options and difficulty in obtaining the food that was available. And as we've seen, 2021 has not been or was not any better. This year, floods and tornadoes have destroyed lives and livelihoods and worsened existing hunger problems in the Commonwealth. Our neighbors in West Kentucky know this all too well, as the tornado took a warehouse in Mayfield that stored food and supplies for so many in that region. While these challenges are great, I am here to tell you they are not greater than what we can accomplish when we work together. Kentuckians are generous people. Together, we're going to rebuild, we will replenish, and we will overcome these challenges. Organizations like Feeding Kentucky are leading this fight, and I'm proud to be in the fight with them, as I know Commissioner Quarles is as well. And all of us understand what it means to be a good neighbor. It's about showing kindness to others, regardless of when or if they can return the goodwill. As leaders in our communities, we must have compassion for our most vulnerable. And that compassion must compel us to be more and more generous. Generosity can look a lot of different ways. So whether you're raising money, donating food, or volunteering at a local food bank, your efforts matter, and they are certainly making a difference for the men, women, and children all across the Commonwealth that are struggling with food insecurity. Now, in our office, as Kurt alluded to, we're going to keep rallying. We're going to keep rallying the legal community to raise food and funds as part of the legal food frenzy. Since 2017, the legal food frenzy has contributed more than 1.9 million meals to those in need. So today, I'm throwing down the gauntlet. I want to challenge our attorneys, law firms, law schools, and legal organizations to register a food frenzy team and join us in this continued fight to end hunger. Now, the registration has to happen by February 7th, and all proceeds are going to go to Kentucky Regional Food Banks and food pantries. To learn more about the program, And to register your team, visit kyfoodfrenzy.com. And together, I'm confident we can help relieve the hunger of thousands of children and adults across the Commonwealth, across all of our communities. Thank you, and may God continue to bless our efforts.
Thank you, Attorney General Cameron. Obviously, you have been a champion of this fight, and congratulations on the birth of your son. And being a grandfather myself, I understand the fact that we never want to see any of our children go hungry. So the outpouring of support that the Feeding Kentucky gets throughout the Commonwealth, and it's a very generous Commonwealth. So thank you for being with us today.
Yes, sir.
Next, we're honored to have with us via video House Speaker David Osborne. We have had a number of legislators throughout the entire Commonwealth support our efforts of Feeding Kentucky. This is not a partisan issue because everybody needs to be fed, everybody needs to be healthy. House Speaker David Osborne has served in the Kentucky House of Representatives since 2005. He was sworn in on January 8th, 2019 to serve as a Speaker of the Kentucky House of Representatives. Speaker Osborne represents the 59th House District, which is comprised of part of Oldham County. So now I'd like to turn it over to House Speaker Osborne's video to share with you.
Welcome to this year's Hunger Free Kentucky Day, and thank you for inviting me to join. I'm honored to participate and tremendously grateful for the work that you do. Like you, I wish we didn't need an organization that provides a need as basic as food. Nevertheless, that need exists, and I'm thankful for hunger relief organizations like Feeding Kentucky. Your impact on our Commonwealth is extraordinary. In my home county alone, 67,000 meals have been supplemented in the last year. As you know, the people served by your affiliates are neighbors, classmates, coworkers, and friends. Hunger affects people from all walks of life. Like so many things, COVID has exacerbated food insecurity and made it more difficult to do what you do. Thank you for rising to that challenge and continuing to find ways to meet the need. Those ways include farms to food banks, providing fresh produce and an additional market for our farmers. This program is a proverbial win-win. With more than 1,000 farmers participating across the Commonwealth, Kentuckians who rely on you have access to locally grown produce. One Oldham County farmer received more than $3,000 for his produce that helped feed families. Those funds went to a farmer who would have otherwise had produce go to waste, because although edible, it may not have been marketable. Your commitment to ending childhood hunger is also extraordinary. We know that 1 in 5 Kentucky children experience food insecurity. Through Kentucky Kids Eat, you provide a safety net for children in all 120 counties. Before I close, let me again thank you. We are a state with many needs and limited resources. The Kentucky House is committed to changing that, and we know that policies that we adopt today will impact the many men, women, and children that rely on your program. That is why, first and foremost, we are determined to create jobs, prepare our people for the workforce, and make investments that will help people become independent. We want to turn those you serve today into those who help serve others tomorrow. Again, thank you for having me. We are united in the fight against hunger.
House Speaker Osborne, thank you for those very generous words and your commitment to supporting our fight to end hunger in the Commonwealth. We're thrilled to have you join us in lockstep to really solve hunger in our community. Unfortunately, Senator Paul Hornbeck was not able to join us today. He expresses his regret in not being able to be here, but he has been a strong supporter of the fight against hunger, and he has allowed to reduce the impediments brought to, as Commissioner Quarles said, about having the venison and game brought to our food banks across the Commonwealth. So we want to thank Senator Hornbeck for that ongoing support. Next, what we have is Representative Richard Heath. He is with us in person today, but he also has some video comments that we'll be sharing with you. Representative Richard Heath has represented District 2, which includes Graves and part of McCracken counties since 2013. He's the chair of the House Agricultural Committee and has been a longtime supporter of the Farmers Food Bank program, and once again has been a champion to this fight to end hunger and has been there with us every step of the way with our Feeding Kentucky efforts and supporting the food banks that serve the entire Commonwealth. So now we'll hear from Representative Richard Heath.
Hello there, I'm Richard Heath, State Representative for the 2nd House District. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak this year at the Kentucky Rally to Solve Hunger. Having food on the table is something we so easily take for granted, but many of our friends and neighbors are less fortunate than we are. It might be hard for us to imagine, but these folks lack consistent access to enough food to live an active, healthy life. COVID-19 and recent tornado devastation have only contributed to worsening food insecurity in our communities. Before the pandemic, nearly 15% of people in Graves County and 14% in McCracken County were already considered food insecure. As chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, I proudly support Farms to Food Banks, which commits to fighting hunger across the Commonwealth by providing fresh produce to families in need. Farms to Food Banks works to accomplish just that, helping to cover a farmer's cost of harvest, package, and transport donated agriculture products to food banks or pantries. We all know unhealthy food has a more appealing price tag, but these products only intensify the chronic health symptoms our people struggle with already, like diabetes and high blood pressure. 91% of households we serve buy these products to keep food on the table. By supporting this program, we're limiting the worry by distributing nutritious, local food to those hungry Kentuckians. I'm so grateful for the impact this program has on our state. Since 2011, they have worked with more than 1,000 Kentucky farmers to distribute goods to the hungry. In 2021, over 3 million pounds of fresh produce was distributed to our communities via the Farms to Food Bank program. To add the cherry on top, our local farmers have benefited too. Last year, 5 farmers in my district participated and received a combined total of over $10,000. It's a win-win for our people. I'm honored to be a part of today's rally and simply cannot thank you all enough for your hard work and compassion. On behalf of District 2, we appreciate you for everything you do.
Representative Heath, we're so thrilled to have you with us today, and we appreciate your ongoing fight to end hunger in the Commonwealth. And it truly is a win-win situation when you think about the farmers that are supported by the Farm to Food Bank program, but also the hungry neighbors throughout our Commonwealth. They're impacted by food insecurity. And when you think about 1 in 5 of our children, and now with the pandemic, it's gone to even 1 in 4 of our children have dealt with food insecurity and not knowing where the next meal is coming from. As we've said all along, this work is a collaborative effort. This is an effort where not only the government and our food bank organizations have to work together, but also our farmers and the folks that are out there really on the front line of hunger throughout the Commonwealth. Today, we're pleased to have with us Kevin Cornett, who is the owner and operator of Maple Crest Farm in Manchester, Kentucky. He began participating in the Farm to Food Bank program in 2018, and since then his participation has grown, currently supplying area food banks with a variety of homegrown items, including fresh produce, eggs, frozen meat products. We can't thank you enough, Kevin, for being here with us, but we also can't thank you enough for the daily support that you provide to each and every one of our food banks across the Commonwealth. So thank you for taking time out of your day to join us in our rally to end hunger today.
I want to thank you all for having me. A little bit about myself. I am a 5th generation farm. I grew up on this farm. That's where I was raised. My son and daughter will be 6th generation. I grew up in a tobacco patch and a dairy farm. We quit the dairy in 2011, kind of diversified into some other projects. We expanded our beef herds. We started doing some poultry, a little bit of produce. Then in 2018, we quit the tobacco, went into the hemp industry. Done good the first year in 2018. 2019, we didn't do so good. We grew 150 acres of hemp, and to this day, we've yet to see the first penny out of that 150 acres. Long story short, come spring of 2020, we had payments that come due, and I'd kind of liquidated some of my assets to get the hemp crop in, processed, ready for market. About the long time the pandemic started, we had to file a Chapter 12 bankruptcy. We had farm payments that was due, and where I'd sold off my beef cash crop and some other things to get with the hemp, it kind of put us on a shortfall on funds, and we were unable to make our payments at that time. We had loans with Farm Credit and Farm Service Agency. Farm Credit, they was not willing to work with us to restructure anything. Farm Service Agency was, but they were kind of on the back seat. Farm Credit was first on that. So we had to file the bankruptcy. We'd kind of let a few of our other markets, like on our USDA beef and pork and eggs, we kind of let some of those go when we was doing the hemp. And once we'd done the bankruptcy, we started back with some of these projects with the local stores, the meat, the eggs. Then in the summer, we done the produce. And at the time, we didn't have all our markets back. So what we was overproducing, I was taking to the Farms to Food Bank program. And we was getting compensated, having some income that show for the bankruptcy. If it had not been for that program, we would not have had been able to show enough income to have got our plan approved for the Chapter 12 bankruptcy. So long story short, we would have probably lost our house and our farms if it had not been for that program.
Kevin, thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you for having me.
Thank you for sharing your story. And unfortunately, I'd like to say that that was not unique to many farmers throughout the Commonwealth, but we're proud to partner with you, work with you hand in glove to make a difference not only for your family, but also for so many families across the Commonwealth. You are the backbone of our Farm to Food Bank program and the farmers that support our food banks, because not only have you provided food that we've provided a secondary market for many of your crops. However, you've also provided donated product to us as well when you've had oversupplies. And that just goes to the caring nature and the generous nature of our Kentucky farmers and the work that you all do each and every day. So thank you for being with us, and thank you for sharing your story with us, Kevin.
Thank you.
Before turning it over to Katrina, I just want to thank the members of our teams from the food banks across the Commonwealth. Our Freestar Food Bank team, our God's Pantry Food Bank team, Facing Hunger Food Bank team, Feeding America's Kentucky Heartland Food Bank team, Tri-State Food Bank team, Dare to Care Food Bank team, and the Paducah Area Development District Food Bank team. Without those team members that are on the front line of hunger each and every day, we would not be able to feed the families that need our support and provide those supportive services that allow families to move from crisis to stability. So now I'd like to turn it over to our Executive Director, Katrina Thompson, who will wrap us up and give us a challenge and call to action. Katrina? Katrina, you're muted. Katrina, you're muted.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, I just want to tell you how wonderful it is to have you as participants, and not only today, but for everything that all of you do. And Kevin, thank you for sharing your personal story with us and letting us know that these are the reasons we do what we do. So I just want to remind everybody that it is Hunger Free Day. So make sure that you tweet using hashtag Hunger Free Kentucky. So make sure you get those tweets out there so people know it is today. Thank you again to our elected officials. Just we could not do this without you, for sure. Honorable Cameron, Honorable Quarles, certainly the governor, and thank you to our legislators and representatives who help us with this, to all our partners that work for us, and decide what you can do to fight hunger today. All of us can do something. So even if it's something small things add up. Tiny drops make an ocean. So please just to figure out something that you can do to fight hunger today, And again, thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate each of you, and have a fabulous Hunger Free Kentucky Day.
Thank you all for joining us. And thanks again to Katrina and her incredible team at Feeding Kentucky. I didn't mean to leave them out because they are the backbone support of our 7 food banks that serve the Commonwealth. So thank you for joining us today. Let's work to end hunger each and every day. And today, more importantly, let's bring awareness and focus to this fight that we're going to try to end in our lifetime. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, guys.